celebrations in the streets of Damascus, Syria, after rebel groups toppled the brutal regime of Bashar al-Assad, taking down his statues, looting his palaces, and forcing the dictator to flee the country. On Monday, the Syrian prime minister agreed to a handover of power to rebel forces. With the country now in turmoil, U.S. forces struck more than 75 targets of the Islamic State in Syria, also known as ISIS, to prevent the terrorist group from taking advantage of the chaos.
Certainly not going to rule anything off the table in terms of additional strikes on ISIS.
National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby says the White House is deploying top advisors to the region this week and says they're open to engaging with the rebel group HTS, which routed Assad's forces, even though HTS is designated as a terrorist group by the U.S.
We are already in touch with counterparts. Some of those counterparts have ways of delivering messages to all the rebel groups, not just HTS. They're not the only group involved here.
Israel, which sits on Syria's southwest border, also responding on Monday, striking Syria's chemical weapons capabilities and establishing a security zone inside Syrian territory.
We will not allow any hostile force to establish itself on our border.
A central player in the future of Syria will likely be the rebel group's leader, Abu Muhammad al-Jilani. He's a former al-Qaeda fighter in Iraq who formed the offshoot of al-Qaeda in Syria before making a public split with the terrorist group in 2016, forming HTS soon after. The State Department expressing cautious optimism about the group's plans for Syria.
Yes, we have heard them saying the right things about inclusion and a political process forward, but ultimately we're going to judge them by their actions, and our policy response will be determined by the actions they take.
And the toppling of the Assad regime has now led to renewed hope for the family of Austin Tice. The freelance American journalist went missing in Syria in 2012, and it's believed that the Assad regime imprisoned him. Tice's family is now urging both President Joe Biden and President-elect Donald Trump to focus on his return. In Washington, I'm Evan Koslof, Spectrum News.